What is up, everybody? What is up? How's it going? How's it going? This is the LSUODYSSEY.COM Florida State LSU preview show. Surrounded in baby blankets, surrounded in bottles, all this baby paraphernalia. It's been crazy up in here. Thank you for bearing with us as we've been navigating that madness. Tonight, we're going to have some special guests joining us. And I actually need to send the links right now. Just 1 second, everybody. This has been quite a buildup for this game, for this weekend. I'm very interested to see what these two individuals. I will leave it to be a surprise. What they have to think about the lead up for Brian Kelly's debut season as the LSU head coach. You know, everyone giving Florida State a lot of love right now, and then they're also like pointing at their deficiencies. Yet they really are just harping on LSU and not really giving LSU any bit of a chance. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Just how much they're counting LSU out in a way, or at least just saying it's going to be such a tight game. I disagree here. Maybe LSU have some struggles, have some things go against them, some mistakes, of course, guys getting used to each other. But I mean, this should be a straightforward game, right? Right? This should be an LSU victory, right? Maybe it's not that simple. And we are going to invite a few people in here who I am excited to. This is the first time we've done this show with a particular person who's coming on here. But this is I think maybe the fifth, sixth time we've done this show with my man, Adrian Perkins, who is one of the premier encyclopedias in LSU fandom. This guy, he knows everything about Louisiana sports and just national sports in a greater sense. This dude is plugged in with sports. I always love talking with him. Always love having him on in any sort of way, shape, or form. I'm so glad you're joining us tonight, brother. You looking sharp.
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
You are looking sharp, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Okay, it was crazy. Last half hour, 45 minutes was us getting Sage and taking him over to Chelsea, where she was at her work at Fear Factory, where they're doing all this stuff with the makeup artist. So it was kind of a scram. But yeah, here we are. Wow.
Yeah, man, ready for football season, man. That's all.
It's just crazy.
Waiting.
AD, I'm looking up right here at Notre Dame and Ohio State playing in this really big-time game, and then you got Utah and Florida battling it out. You've got all these really interesting matchups right out of the gate this season. Where do you think LSU Florida State honestly matches up within all of the top matchups of Week 1 or starting Week 0?
I mean, it's really, it's Florida State and LSU. You don't have to say much else. See, LSU and Florida State playing each other in football, that's a big-time matchup. It's going to matter. So, yeah, it's just a big-time matchup, the kind of matchup that you really look forward to in a Week 1 type of setting, where it's, two great programs, programs with great traditions and great history, and they're going to put it all on the line for Week 1, especially in the Superdome. Gotta love it.
Man, that's your town. That's your town, New Orleans,
yes,
baby.
Sir. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
It's going to be a party, and I think Florida State fans will be partying with LSU fans as well, because I think they're going to need the alcohol in the vicinity, and
they're going to need to pick me up. They're going to need to pick me up after after the game when we do what we supposed to do against them. They're going to need to pick me up, man. There's no better place than to drown your sorrows than across the river in New Orleans. So
they're going to need that shoulder to cry on, man. They're going to need that shoulder to cry on. I really do believe Now, I'm just going to be straight up here, okay? Watching Florida State Duquesne or Duquesne, however you pronounce that. Duquesne were getting in the backfield a lot, man, and they're just missing tackles left and right, and it just looked really, really simple and really easy, and it complemented Florida State's 400 yards. But when you actually really watch that film and you compare LSU's defense with Matt House, when they get in the backfield like that, when they make that type of penetration, do you think they're going to miss those tackles? Do you think they're going to miss those opportunities?
Oh no, and the thing with me with Duquesne, I've been saying all week, is like I watched I think the first two scoring drives for Florida State, and then I turned it off because there's nothing in that game from either side that they can take. Like if you are from LSU, there was a simplified game plan. I think they only ran like 3-4 plays total. There's nothing in that that's gonna give you any kind of insight into Florida State. And if you're from Florida State and think Duquesne is a test for you, you are gonna get the doors blown off of you in the dome tomorrow, because there's not even a player on Duquesne that should be a preferred walk on at LSU, let alone somebody that's actually gonna suit up for us. So that game was really the only thing that would have been any kind of telltale signs was if the game was close. Then that would have been a very bad sign for Florida State. But
Oh,
Florida State did what they were supposed to do against a Division II school. Like that, I didn't take anything from that.
absolutely. Absolutely, man. I mean, that's just, to me, it's it was way too easy. It was way too easy. I get it. It's a tune-up game for LSU. Florida State probably barely ran any of the plays they're going to against LSU. They probably didn't want to show anything on film. I get that, but Mike Norvell was also doing some really stupid stuff, calling timeouts with 6 seconds left in the half with a 26-0 lead to get like a punt return in their own 5 and be able to do like nothing with it. And a player got hurt on that play. He was doing all sorts of really just questionable decisions that I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? I don't know much about Norvell. I'm not trying to say he's a shitty coach or a bad or whatever, but I think against Brian Kelly, I mean, you got to think BK is licking his chops here. He's got to be licking his chops here, smelling blood in the water and saying this is a moment for LSU to come out of the gates and really just smack Florida State in the mouth and show everybody you've been disrespecting LSU all summer long, all year long. You've been disrespecting Brian Kelly all year long, saying this guy can't coach, this guy can't recruit, this guy can't do anything, not let alone win in the South. This guy is all about golfing. This guy's all about this. This guy's all about being a politician. All this stuff that he has completely defied during his time at LSU. They're saying, he's a curmudgeon, all this stuff. He's been nothing but chill and showing kind of a more intense, aggressive side. You look at how he coached Garrett Dellinger, demanding but not demeaning, as he once said in a press conference. And you're seeing that from Kelly, demanding but not demeaning. But man, is he demanding, and he's wanting to push these guys to turn that page from get the taste out of their mouth from last year, and even from the year before that, because LSU's lost the last 2 openers in really just pull down the pants fashion. Mississippi State, UCLA. Think about those games, man. Think about those games. LSU could not
I
get
try
up.
not to. I try not to think about those games. I don't need PTSD. That's not a good look.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, man. Here's what I'm thinking. Just like with Greg Dulcich, they're going to literally throw on random downs against us and just try and get those matchups on like Jay Ward, different linebackers. And here's what I got to say. I got to be honest. I saw some really big busted coverages in fall camp, just as much as spring, if not worse in spring than fall camp. But fall camp, just some guys allowing some big plays. Greg Brooks Jr., we saw a lot of the back of his jersey. Jared Bernard Converse, I know he's come back from injury. Saw a lot of 24 instead of with his head not turned in the way it should be and chasing the play. We saw some guys get burned by our receiving core. Is that DBU in tatters? Is DBU going down the toilet, or is DBU facing a really damn good receiving core this season, and that's why they're getting burned. They're getting tested in fall camp. They're an unfamiliar group, as well as loaded with some veterans like Jay Ward. But there is some really unfamiliar pieces to everybody else. Joe Fuchsia transfer as well. Greg Brooks Jr. Those two familiar from Arkansas, but still coming in. Mekhi Garner. Is it going to be a big deal having so many transfers at DB, or is it really not that big of a deal?
I mean, I think it's one of those truly wait and see things because it could be a matter of that. I mean, they're facing probably the deepest receiver room in the nation.
Exactly.
When you go to look at our roster of receivers, I mean, we have guys that's our third, fourth guy that could go somewhere else and be a number one. So when you consider that, I mean, you're going to get tested on every day in practice. And it's the same thing with our offensive line. You're going against future number one draft picks in Jaquelin Roy, in Mason Smith, in Tank Guillory, Makai Wango, BJ Ojolari. So if they look bad on the day,
You're
yeah, I mean, you're going against top notch talent. So
you're going to lose. You're going to lose reps, and
you're
then you're
going to
gonna
lose some reps.
and then
So
you're going to win some reps too.
and you're going to win. So I think it's because I've heard just about as many bad as good for them, and that's really what you want to see. You've heard about the great plays that Greg Brooks was making, especially in spring. You heard how they weren't throwing on Jarek Bernard Converse's side and things of that nature. You've heard about Colby Richardson coming out of the absolute
Yeah.
depths of in nowhere to potentially be a starting corner for us. So yeah, yeah, you're supposed to hear about that when you're having top-notch talent go against other top-notch talent. Doesn't mean that anybody's falling off. Just means that you're practicing against really good football players. So that's more of a wait and see thing. But we have to see when it's actual competition and the bullets are flying for real. If it was
Absolutely.
a symptom of playing against practicing against great players, or is a symptom of them not being up to par to play, SEC LSU type of football. So I think that's a wait and see approach. But I have a lot of faith in these guys because the one thing I think what I've been calling it all is a lot of people when they hear any news that's the opposite of good coming out, they go into the panic of what we've been facing the last 2 years, and I call
Yes.
it the O fog.
Yeah.
Everybody's been in that O fog, and it's like we have a coach now that is, as I've been saying, a professional head coach, buttoned up, has a plan for everything.
Exactly.
I was talking to somebody, and he said he's intentional. Everything that he's doing has a reason and a purpose. Nothing's just flying at the seat of his pants and off the cuff. Everything is there's a method to the madness. So I think getting out of what we've witnessed the last 2 years, especially in the openers, with us having such big expectations and then just getting embarrassed the way we have, I understand a lot of the pullback from people, but I also like this is not the same situation. Even in how he talked about what he's going to do tomorrow to break up the day for the players. Last year O was going out um like the day before. What was it? The day before or whatever. But
Yeah.
he said we're gonna get that Saturday in the afternoon, so they could just kick back in the hotel rooms, or kick it with the guys at the hotel. Tomorrow morning, sometime they're gonna get in a little light workout, break up the day, get them inside the dome, get them used to that, the bigness of it, the difference in it, get them used to a little bit to the atmosphere, and work up a little sweat to get their mind on the game. They're not just thinking about, you know, they're not just in their room hearing all the noise around them, being downtown in New Orleans on Labor Day weekend. They've gone to
Exactly.
the to the dome and done things. Might be a little walk through, but their mind have started going through game situations and going prep. So I just love that about having the difference in Coach O, who I love, but having Coach Kelly here. having BK here, there's some different things happening. So I think we just gotta let this thing play out because I think we're going to be very happy with the results.
I think so too. I think Brian Kelly, to be completely candid, seeing it firsthand, just this guy, it was like it wasn't just a scene or like an act. I was kind of looking for everything with Brian Kelly, right up close, asking the guy questions, being able to talk to this guy, Brian freaking Kelly here at LSU. This is nuts. It was like an acid trip seeing him there coaching us. It was, his first big press conferences. It was nuts, and it made no sense really. And then I saw him coach his first practice, and it was like I already had liked the idea of Brian Kelly coaching LSU. I was already really becoming very invested in his staff, really liking what he was doing with his staff, loving the hires he was making, and actually getting quite acquainted with some of these hires, and then seeing him coaching these players up in those first practices. Some of the stuff he was doing and demanding, running over to the sideline, seeing a guy who was in a boot, a big player on the team, and kind of saying, you're messing around. I want to see you being a leader. Everyone participates. Everyone. It was like, holy shit. Wow. Like, he demanded everything from everybody. And seeing him freak out at Dellinger, a guy he's asking to switch positions on the cuff and to go, oh my God, Nurse Court is here. Nurse Court. Nurse Court.
Cord, what's up?
Hey, how
We're
are
just,
y'all?
We're doing good, doing good.
we're just talking to some Garrett Dellinger. Garrett, everybody follow Nurse Court right there. Let me put the word follow in there. How are
What's
you
up,
doing?
baby? I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing good, doing good.
Are
Enjoying
you
some football.
are you gonna go see the game tomorrow?
Yes. Yes.
You will be inside the dome watching the LSU Tigers. Hopefully, kick some ass against Florida State. What are you thinking? What are you expecting for it?
I some missteps here and there, but I feel like we will win the game. Think it'll be close. I don't expect it to be a blowout. I mean, it would be awesome if it was, but I don't expect that. I feel like it's going to be you know, a learning a learning experience for a lot of guys out there, and probably fans. But
Yes.
I'm hopeful that we play a great game. I feel like there's so much talent on this team, and obviously the staff is amazing. So I can't imagine that they can't put it together enough to beat Florida State, not to take away from their team in the very least. But I just feel like that we absolutely have the more talented team. If they can put it all together, we win.
What about
Definitely. Like I definitely feel like that's gonna be the biggest thing. More than anything is just when you look at the rosters and you line them up man for man, we're just better, more talented team. And that's not any shade, it's just truth.
Right.
That LSU man for man is a better, deeper, more talented football team. So
I see your shirt. I started to wear mine. Just have on
so
plain old LSU.
so it's just that's why I believe we're going to win because if we when we line it up, we're better man to man. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
yeah? I mean, no one can deny that. No one can deny that. Anyone who does is a fool. But the same thing happened last year. UCLA, they played Hawaii, a weak team. Everyone was saying, "Oh," and then this is perfect for LSU. And people don't really remember that we were LSU and their families were basically going through a hurricane right then, Hurricane Laura, right then. They're sent to Houston to practice at Energy Stadium. One of the team leaders, Jared Small, tears his ACL because they're practicing on that turf. Then they fly completely across the country to California in the Rose Bowl, a team that's already decimated with injuries and guys who had just started to become injured and get banged up in fall camp and just kind of being available for week one, but not really being 100%. Guys like Eli Ricks, Stingley, and I think Ollie Gay as well. He had some hand stuff, and then in I think week 2 is when he broke that hand, or maybe it was during the UCLA game, but yeah, broke that same hand. And it was truly an awful injury. I'll tell you that, a hideous injury, one that was just like no way he's coming back. But LSU were just walking into just trap after trap after trap, and we had a leader who was frankly losing his way at that moment, going after fans and all this crap that really didn't matter. Like I think the thing the guy yelled at Coach O was like, "Hey, Coach, we're gonna kick your ass" or something. It was like very PG-13, very 1994. Like it really shouldn't upset you. And Coach O was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger in like the end of Commando, like, "Oh yeah, I'll take you down. Like, I'll break your neck. Like, I'll come up there." Like it was just
Sissy blue shirt.
That shit would have been hilarious if we had won the game.
Yes, that would have been
It
hilarious.
would have been great.
I know a lot of
a lot
of people would have got those shirts.
just
Oh, yeah.
out of blues.
But and also you bring up, I actually watched that game in Houston.
Yeah.
Evacuating from Ida. So I actually watched that. So I was right there with the team, like having to leave and everything. So yeah, but it was like there was a lot of circumstances, but the writing had been on the wall for there was a reason why LSU had 2 first-time coordinators, and it seemed like that was the only guys that could get the job coming into last season. There was reasons for things like that. So it's such a different. You have to let this play out how it's going to play out, because this is not familiar territory for a lot of us, because we've never been in a situation, even if you've been around during the switch over to Miles and Ogeron, that wasn't a complete restructuring like it was when Saban came in. Like Kelly had to clean house completely and start over. Miles didn't have to do that. Miles basically just had to come in and be a head coach and replace whoever left when Saban left.
It was a very straightforward transfer of power. You're right. Kelly just like went scorched earth, as well as some guys were just gonna leave anyway.
Yeah, he had to clean house. Even with Oak had to come in and make his own decisions and do his own thing. But there was so much that was already in place for him to do. When Kelly came in, he had to go. Like, let's take this thing down to the studs. Let's take it down to the foundation and rebuild it. And so, it's a much different situation than we've ever been in the last, 20 some odd years as LSU fans, where we're starting over completely. So, we're not just redecorating, we're not just painting walls, changing the wall color. We building up all the way back from the foundation. And we got to see where it's going. We got to let this play out, because I just refuse to believe that a man that has been as successful, as good as him throughout his career as a head coach is going to get to the best place he's ever been and forget all of that. I just don't see that. And I know you're looking at that running that Florida game, because that was impressive.
No, I wasn't. I was staring right at you, because my TV's.
I got you.
My TV's way too high up for me to be like. I'd have to be like this.
I got you.
To get. I mean, we put that damn thing way too high up. But no, I'm glued to you, because I'm loving your argument. Because here's the thing, Kelly, do you really think these guys like? I mean, okay. I want to take this into 2 directions. Okay, one, I'm just going to do a little spiel about the staff real quick, but then I had a question for both of you. Really, just like you said, this staff, I don't think Joe Sloan's going to fail like Matt Canada, or you can compare Matt Canada to our offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, right now. Mike Denbrock and Kelly have that. They've been tied at the hip for years. I think just shy of a decade that those guys were together, maybe even, I think, over a decade. I'm not exactly sure, but around that area. They got those two know each other very, very well, and they've evolved together as well. And I think those conversations have between the two have really taken this offense to the next level. If you ever watched any film from spring or fall, any variety of their practices or scrimmages, you saw LSU running a high octane up tempo offense. It didn't matter who was quarterback. Even if it was Miles Brennan, they were running him like I've never seen Miles Brennan run at LSU. They were pushing and demanding everything from these guys, and it was a fast, high-octane offense that was I mean, our offensive linemen were having to be in the best shape of anybody. They were hustling their asses off, and I'm very, very interested to see how quickly Brian Kelly and this coaching staff will pull the trigger and say, hey, you're not performing very well, even though you're a star name in this position. Get out of here. Get on the bench for a second. We're putting this guy in because this guy, 4 or 5 star on the bench anyway. We're putting him in. I really hope they would do that in a position like, say, if Greg Brooks Jr. gets burned on a few routes. If Sage Ryan is still finding himself on the bench, you got to give this guy some reps. Put this guy in and let him ride with Sage, because I believe even if he makes some mistakes, he'll come good. But this staff, it's going to be very interesting to see how quickly they'll pull these players if they're making some errors, especially at quarterback. But you two, I got to ask you this crazy question that just popped in my head. What happens if LSU lose this game? What should happen? And why would LSU lose this game?
Ladies first.
You go first.
There's so many reasons why we could lose this game. I mean, from O-line play to D-line play to special teams to our quarterback. There's so many reasons why this game could be lost. But I feel like after this camp, I feel a lot better listening to Kelly talk about the progress that they've made. So I'm really not as concerned as I was, especially like with special teams and with with Dellinger. I was a little bit concerned about that for real with the center. So I think that there's so many reasons why we could lose, but I think that overall, I feel good about it. I don't think they're going to go in there and not be ready. I really do feel like we're going to be ready for this game. I think we're going to win the game. It may not be a pretty win. I feel like we may have some ugly plays coming this week, next week too. That's just the way I think about it. But hopefully by the time we play Mississippi State, we clean up the stuff that needs to be cleaned up. The only way for us to know is for them to get out there and play the game. That's really the only way.
Injuries.
Oh yeah, the turf. The turf worries me about, like, the turf in the dome. I'm concerned about that.
You've seen enough games in the dome to know that, Court. Everyone, you got to realize, Nurse Court has been to some of the greatest games, greatest moments in LSU history. She's been there and witnessed it in person, in the flesh, and she's
Really
met
lucky.
some of the greatest players in LSU history as well. Full respect, she has seen things I will never see as an LSU fan. So, like, straight up,
we don't know what's coming. You never know what's coming.
Sure, but like,
I did see like Glenn Dorsey. Like I saw some pretty awesome guys that came through there. I'm super lucky. Super lucky.
Exactly. You've seen some epic stuff. So, like, I mean, you've seen some injuries in the dome though too.
Yes.
Or even just like in general, turf neutral site games. The UCF game comes to mind. So many injuries.
The Miami game.
Yes. Chase on.
Yeah, it's I know it's not their typical turf is different than what they're normally playing on. So the fact that we've even got this far without a significant injury situation, like, it's such a blessing. And it's so not what we're normally like accustomed to. We're not used to this at all.
Is that pure luck or is that Jake Flint's conditioning? Both.
Oh, well, you know how I feel about it. You guys know where I stand on this.
Both. I feel like it's both because let's be honest. Coach Kelly said it himself. He said when he watched the LSU UCLA game, he said that team was tired and out of shape. He said that. So
even Ed Ingram admitted it.
We're tired. Yeah, they were tired and they were out of shape. So that lends itself to injuries, but also luck of the draw plays a part in it. Sometimes guys just have land wrong, get rolled up on, even friendly fireways, it happens. And it's just a part of the game that you can't ever get out of. So it's a combination of both. I think there will be less unexplainable injuries or hard to explain injuries because they're in better shape. I mean, you've just seen it. Like, um, BJ Ojulari looked like he got helium pumped into his shoulders. He looks so much bigger. Jaden Daniels put on 20 pounds. And then you look at the offensive lineman, not Elvis. Marcus Dumerville almost had a 6 pack. Like, and that's just a credit to Jake Flint and what he is putting in place for the team to do and get better at. Just they have a plan for all of that. So I think they're in far better shape. Injuries could be an issue, but I also think how they lose, if they lose, will matter. Does this look like a team fight? Because some of them games last year, it just looked like a beaten down team, a team that didn't have anything to fight for, so they didn't fight. So that will play a part in it too. And I mean, there's a myriad of reasons they could lose. They may not be as good as we think they are. That's a very good. That's a real good. That's a real possibility. Florida State could be better than we think they are. That's a possibility. Um, so it's a bunch of reasons they could lose. Although I just think there's too much going in favor for them to do that because, like I said, I think we're better talent wise. I think we're better coaching wise, and I also think something that we're not talking about. You kind of alluded to it. LSU in that dome is special. That is a special place for LSU. It means something when they play there. New Orleans and Baton Rouge are so tied together. There's just as many Saints fans in in Baton Rouge as there are LSU fans in New Orleans, and it means something when they play in that dome. I don't think anybody has a second sight home field advantage like LSU does in that dome. I mean, you think about it.
Just
Outside of the 11 championship games,
just Georgia.
LSU has played in that building and just looked better,
Only
just
Georgia really
playing out
have that.
better than everybody. It
Maybe
wasn't even
Bama.
close.
Maybe Bama,
Yeah,
Georgia.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, I mean, to have a
Baby Bama
second
in
home
the
site
Mercedes Benz
in
though.
your own state,
Yeah, true, in your home state, I
and to
guess.
have
But
it
I mean,
be
Bama does
Yeah,
play over there a lot. So
and to have it be a
quite a lot.
place that hosts
yeah,
Super
they get to
Bowls.
play there all the time.
They
I
play
mean,
that. They play that too often.
we
But
that's
I
the thing
just
is
think,
that there's magic in that Superdome. That's why that 2011 game, well, technically 2012, January 2012 loss to Alabama. That's why that game still haunts me, guys. Is because guy and gal, because that that game was just. I'm going into it thinking, okay, Alabama are good. This will be another dogfight. This will be a absolute just bloodbath, a bludgeoning
yeah,
to watch. But we're gonna get through it. Our defense is gonna make a great play. Tyrann Matthew is gonna return a kick or a punt. Something's gonna happen. And just to see that happen in the dome, it kind of kill the magic, or did 2019 reclaim that magic?
I mean 29 because they did play in the dome after that season. And they played. I think they played BYU the year before Les got fired, and
I
they
think
handled
BYU
them.
was in Cowboy Stadium.
No, I think BYU was in the dome.
Let's see
I
here. I
think it
believe it
was.
was.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong though. But every time they play in that dome, it's fun. It's special, and it's always a good time with LSU. So, and I think that's something not a lot of people have talked about is they're playing in that dome, and I don't think everybody really understands what that dome means to LSU because
Dude,
this is a special place.
that's why I had to get there. That's why I had to get there, and just you have to be here for the first month and a half, 2 months basically to help mom
Yes.
out at all points. So that takes precedence. But yeah, Advocare Texas kickoff for LSU's
Okay. Yeah, that was BYU.
27
Okay.
nothing beat down of BYU. There's a lot of 2019 heroes of ours who were had their debuts in that game. Guys like Grant Delpit, a lot of the 2017 guys. That was a fun game to watch. Absolute shellacking.
And wasn't as bad as it could have been, but that's you can go into that a whole another time.
Yeah. I really think that this game is going to be intriguing enough because Jordan Travis, he's a turnover machine waiting to happen. LSU's defense could really, really, create some turnovers here, and that's what I'm expecting from Matt House's defense. I'm expecting Matt House's defense to actually force some turnovers here, actually, create a bunch of pressure, sack the quarterback, attack this offense at will. And I think they're going to do it in disguised ways. I think they're going to be playing off at first, trying to just make, the tackles on the intermediary routes and try and shut everything down, keep everything in front of them. Don't break contain in the RPO action. And doing that might give Florida State their first touchdown of the game. After that, I don't think you'll see LSU's defense give up too much. I think they'll make the adjustments, hone in, and those guys up front will be going after them. There may be some plays for Jordan Travis to have in the passing game against DBU. Running it down our throats and then out of nowhere finding the matchup, making those passes. Greg Dulcich all over again. I'm not so sure, but we thought that there was no way that would be possible before against some really big names for LSU. Some guys were absolutely torched over the last 2 years. Will Robert Steeples make a 180 in the DBU room court? Is Robert Steeples going to be that effective to get these transfers to gel with the veterans that are there still and some of these young guys?
I say yes. I think he's had such an impact, I think, on this class. I mean, this entire unit. And I was looking at the comments too, and I see there's Cole. He was talking about the OC and DC being the reason why we win, and I agree. I think it's kind of refreshing to know that we actually might make adjustments in game, where I don't really feel like we did a lot of that in the last year.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be like, "Oh, it's halftime. We're gonna make adjustments and come back out," and then it was like we didn't do anything at all different. It was like Les Miles times again, as far as no change. Same thing over and over again. So I believe I agree with Cole, like on that, on the whole, just the fact that we have an actual OC and DC that are capable at this point. So
Cole Adams in the comment. I think we win because of our OC and DC, particularly OC, Mike Denbrock. He's saying our offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, is going to be the guy who guides us to that victory. But if we lose it, it will be our O-line is mismatched to their D-line. Post Farmer gets to if we lose that battle, we'll get better. I'm not so sure about their O-line is mismatched to their D-line. I'm not exactly.
I think he's saying if our O-line is mismatched against their D-line, then we lose that battle, then we lose that game. And that's a very fair point. We all coming into this with a bunch of guys that have not played together. We're starting the true freshman left tackle. We're moving the left tackle to center. So there is some questions in this. I don't think anything is about talent. That's the number one thing. I think everything is about inexperience.
Right.
We know Mike Jones is good, but what do we have behind that? We know our D-line is good, but what about our back end?
Weeks.
Yeah, like what do we know?
I think it's almost like.
And I mean, Perkins is a freshman, so.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even inexperience. It's just purely about like, do you have it in you to like take some serious pain on certain plays, mentally and physically, sometimes both at the same time, and then like respond? Can you just do you have it in you? And I think someone like LaTerrence Welch is someone who can do that as a freshman. I think Will Campbell is someone who can do that. Garrett Dellinger, I think, is someone who can make a bad snap that even allows a touchdown or something early in the game. It goes over the quarterback's head or something, and then there's a safety or whatever. I think he's someone who can respond from that. There's definitely some situations with this team that it could be very interesting to see how this staff, how this core of players, especially who the quarterback's going to be, rally around each other. But I gotta say this though. I really think Brian Kelly did a disservice whoever he's going to be starting at quarterback by not naming them for the last few days, the last maybe 4 or 5 days, because I think it would have been great for the whole fan base, players especially, although the players know, but still really to have that extended time to really rally around him and have everybody, give them some confidence. I think even the Jaden Daniels fans, if Nuss had been picked, would be like, okay, I'm all in on the Nuss, bandwagon. Let's go, Nuss. Let's go. I think you'd see that from the Jaden Daniels loyalists out there. But it just seemed kind of, I get what he's doing. He doesn't want to give Florida State any advantage, and I'm fine with that. But does that speak more about the way he's going to be utilizing these quarterbacks, potentially both in the game? Maybe not like one drive Nussmeier, one drive Daniels, something like that, but maybe like one quarter with where it's a 7-7 game or whatever. Jaden Daniels has been starting, and then you get up 21-7 or something, and you pull Jaden Daniels, and now you're riding with Nuss for maybe a few drives. Come back in with Jaden Daniels, go with Nuss, like kind of alternate. Do you think you'd see that quarterback carousel, Court?
God, I hope not. I really hope not. I just hate the whole freaking idea. I cannot.
Yes.
Just the consistency aspect of it. But again, to your point on the whole not naming it publicly, like the team knows, and that's really, I think, all the rallying around them that they need, because social media is like where the rest of that's coming from.
Yeah.
And God help them if they listen to the, I don't know if I can say bullshit on here, but bullshit.
Say whatever you want.
Literally, that's all that there is. So I don't even, I'm fine not knowing or whatever. It's definitely different and weird and not normal for us to be not told. But honestly, it's probably better that they weren't like told, because of the crazy people that are out there talking a lot of stuff. Like, it's just, I feel like the team knows, and that's who rallies around them. That's what's important. I mean, I'm there to support whoever it is, because I never had a clear like person that it doesn't matter to me. So I'm fine with whoever it is, and I'm going to support both of the guys. I think they're both great quarterbacks. But as far as social media and the public knowing, I'm fine with them not. It's just been a lot of whatever about quarterback play this year at LSU, in my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, to go, what you the asking of the question, what you originally said. I don't think it has anything to do with anything else other than making Florida State work harder. This is something coaches have done throughout time. If you go back and look at Belichick would have Brady on an injury report with a knee, and he would start every game. This is the thing about the work. The thing that coaches hate the most is things they cannot control. They hate not knowing what's happening, or not being able to prepare for something. So if Nussmeier comes out there and plays 80% of the game, and they didn't prepare for it because they were just so sure that Jaden Daniels was the quarterback, that coach is going to lose his mind on the sideline. And that's all it is, a mind game with the opposing coach, for them not to know, for them to take some bit of time away from whatever they were planning to do to focus on anything else. And that's what it has more to do with than anything. It has everything to do with messing around with Norvell and their defensive staff's game plan for their quarterback. Because you can say all you want, Daniels is the starter. I believe that. I'm pretty sure you believe that. Court believes that Daniels going to get the start. But can Florida State bank on that? And that's the thing.
I'm sorry. I just looked at the Alabama score.
What is it? Because I'm not even looking.
48-0. I swear, I haven't even looked. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to have that.
That's good. That's cool.
That was my real response. I was like, "What just happened? I can't."
that don't surprise me.
So fabulous. You gotta love it.
Wow.
It's just same thing, different year. Same thing, different year.
Yeah, I mean, it's Utah State. I mean, it's Utah State. It's the same thing.
That's my mom's alma mater, Utah State.
Oh, it is?
Getting absolutely destroyed by Alabama. Wow.
It's the same thing we said about with Florida State playing Duquesne, and this one playing Tennessee playing, who did it play? Ball State or whoever. Yeah. It's supposed to be like this.
Exactly.
If the favorite is who they think they are or who they're being perceived as, this should not be shocking to anybody. Alabama 48-0 does not sound crazy to me
I just
because
had it. I had Utah and Notre Dame on my phone, and I just thought, "Oh, let me check." And then I was like, "It's just the reaction." That
yeah,
was
yeah,
I couldn't even like. I just didn't expect it to be 48-0. I didn't even look to see how far it was in the game. But Florida's 22-19, so Florida's up.
yeah.
Damn.
They're playing. That's a good game right there.
If
Um,
Florida,
Tried to tell people not to bet against Florida in the swamp. Like you just don't ever bet against Florida in the swamp. It's not a good plan.
yeah,
that's a game that I picked us to lose.
early on, when I thought it was a neutral site game, I was picking Utah.
Right. Different
When
different
somebody
tone
let me
ball
know,
game.
that it was in the swamp, I was like, "Oh, hold on." Now Utah could still beat them now, but that makes a big difference in my perception of what's going to happen in this game because that's still a SEC stadium. That's still
Yep.
South Florida, early in September, 100,000. That's gonna be. It's not gonna be easy to go in there and do
Ooh,
whatever you want against that team.
big third down by Rising there to hit
I'm
Kute.
not sure if you guys have seen anything about USC with all of their interceptions. Like I think it's like 4 or 5 picks or something.
They
Like
caught against Rice.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
They caught him
Yeah,
against. They caught him
yeah,
against Rice.
USC, like right. Yeah, they've had like several I think I heard somebody in the space that I was in before I came on here. It's like 4 or 5.
I'm gonna look that up and see if Race John got any. I hope he did. 66-14 against Rice. They ate some rice pudding tonight.
Yeah, they sure did.
I mean, you can look at Rising's like jersey until like he's been on his ass
Yeah,
a few times. Like, I
and
mean,
he
it's just
runs
a
a lot.
typical SEC game, you know.
And he runs a lot, so that just adds to it. But he's
Mhm.
he gonna need an ice bath after this
Mhm.
game.
He's made some dumb moves and some dumb decisions. I just they need to start just going to this guy tonight the whole time. This number 80 Kute or
Yeah, he's been killing them. He has
just go
been
to this guy.
killing them.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Oh, he's on the run again. That's the thing is there's sometimes this guy there's so many wasted plays with Rising that it drives me nuts. I'm glad I'm not a Utah fan, even though I went there for a semester. Yeah, I don't. Kind of a weird place. Kind of an elitist spot. University of Utah, extremely uptight. But what do you guys think of Texas A&M with Max Johnson and Jake Johnson getting very little reps at the end of that game? Jake Johnson, 1 catch, 2 yards. Max didn't start, of course. You saw Haynes King having 3 touchdowns, but also 2 picks. And he had like 300 something yards against a team he should have thrown 300 something yards against. Do you think Max and Jake Johnson are being hard done by Jimbo here, not starting for Texas A&M?
I never thought for a second Max was going to start, but I mean, nobody thought that was right when I said it months ago. I mean, I knew King is who they wanted. Like that was their guy. I mean,
you were right.
Everybody at LSU was like, "Oh yeah, Max didn't go there not to start," but whatever. Like, you know, those guys are all the ones who think Max is the guy here, and I was never that person either. So,
well, and here's the thing: what you're right about with you know, even though Max went there, oh, I'm not going anywhere not to start. It doesn't mean the coach isn't gonna, absolutely go 180 on you now that he's
and I
got you
mean, he
there.
may be the better guy. He's a good quarterback. He just wasn't a good quarterback for us. I know the numbers on the paper. But looking at him play, I just no.
There's some things that his game is so limited at that I really feel all of our offensive coordinators did a major disservice to him with the play calling.
Yeah.
And I really think he could have been a very, very good quarterback here at LSU. And you look at the numbers, and he technically was, but
Right.
it's not enough to win anything at LSU, and I don't think it's enough to beat LSU even if he takes over the starting job later this year over Haynes. Something which I've seen Jimbo do. Start a quarterback and then absolutely bench him and go back to the other guy, kind of recycle them in and out. Very dumb move though to not be using Jake Johnson in the offense though.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
I
For
think
sure.
that's a whole different subject.
Yeah,
Jake
I
is
think it's two different things because with Jake, you know he's going to be there at least 3 years. So with him, it wasn't such a big deal. It's a big deal with Max because you had to think Max believed he was going to be the guy there because he was pretty much. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if he had come back here, I don't think there's much difference between what happened with Jaden Daniels and Nussmeier. I don't think Jaden Daniels ever even comes here, let alone is in a quarterback battle. I think you see the same thing with Nussmeier and Max if he
Yeah.
stays. Is that they don't have to go get Jaden? I think is the biggest difference because I think Nussmeier still makes the same strides he makes
Yeah.
because he worked on his game, and we know what happened with Miles, and who knows if Miles even comes back. But
Right.
I don't. I think you can replace just the body, the person in the situation. Replace Jaden with Max, and there's really not much difference between his opportunity here. Um, I think he was sold a bill of goods to go to A&M because you already are starting SEC quarterback. Unless you were told by uh BK that there was no shot of you starting, I don't see why you go to another school just to be in that same situation.
yeah.
Like
I mean, I get it though. He had 3 coaches and 3 I mean, he really had it was a very bad experience for him, I'm sure. So,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
don't
that's
doubt
also a part of it.
That was a
what
big
people
part of
say
it.
about how he was told not to run and do this and that. So, I know, like, between that and the numbers that he did put up, like, he's got the potential to be, like, really, really good, but I don't it's really a non-issue as far as I'm concerned now because he's not here. So,
Yeah, more
it's
power
just
to you.
not.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
and so,
about
like, he's gone, that's good, y'all have fun, like, that's cool with me, I'm fine with it, like, so I feel like we're in a really good spot where we're at with Nuss, with Daniels, with, Walker, like, Collins, all of it. I'm really, really comfortable for the first time in a really long time with our quarterback room.
I love our quarterbacks. I love our quarterbacks. I'm comfortable with Walker. I wouldn't want him to come in this season.
No, no.
But would I be comfortable with him coming into the game like to help LSU win a national championship? Hell yes. Oh yeah.
Like you know, I talk to the two of y'all all the time, so y'all know I've been a Daniels guy since he said he was coming to LSU. But one thing I've always said is if it's between Daniels and Nussmeier, I'm going to roll with whoever they put out there because I believe both of them can win us some games. I just like Daniels because he has more experience and he's a better athlete. He could take that option read and take it to the house for 50 yards. The dude just has that kind of athleticism. So I would be perfectly fine with Nussmeier out there. And we have a good problem with
Yeah,
quality quarterbacks. We
we're
have
not
a
used
good
to having
problem.
good problems very
Yeah,
much.
we're not. We're really not. And like you said, like even with the guys they've the commitment part of it, getting another guy like Ricky Collins and just seeing him play, and like he fits so well what they're going to try to be doing offensively that he stays committed. It's going to be we have somebody else in that room to compete and just make us better and give us somebody to shore up the most important position on the field.
Yeah. Cole said he thinks Daniels will be the starter and that, he thinks pretty much that's what BK was kind of alluding to. But I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that anybody doubts that it could simply just be Daniels and if it's not, then haha, Florida State. Suckers,
Yeah, yeah.
That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. I would love to see Brian Kelly troll everybody. But you know, let's really dive into this because I want to see what you guys think about this. Who's the main X factor for LSU from both of you? Just give me the one main X factor for LSU winning this game.
Winning this game, I don't know if you can pinpoint it to one person, but for me,
It could
I
be
just think
one position group and one
O line,
facet,
O line.
anything.
It
Yes,
got to be O line because if that O line is good enough, we got everything else. I mean, the quarterback necessarily doesn't even have to be like super stellar, Bryce Young, Joe Burrow level, because all he got to do is just get the ball in the right people's hands. They're gonna take care of their part. We
exactly.
just have to keep him upright. We just have to give them those running backs some room and give him some time, and then special things are going to happen. I think the biggest key is going to be our O line because I think defensively with our front they're going to get enough pressure, especially with Florida State having the issues on offensive line that they have. They're going to do enough up front to get to Travis. I think our linebackers are underrated, and they're going to be very good. I think our DB room, while they may not be a cohesive unit yet, they're very experienced. I don't think anybody is like under like a fourth year junior.
Yeah, even
So
Ray Brooks Jr. I thought he was young, but no,
yeah,
he's like
he's either a true junior or a redshirt junior. So
yeah,
I think that experience will help close the time gap for chemistry and cohesion because they know how to play football at this point in time. They know how to play football. So I think O line is the X factor because I believe that if that O line is just good, it's gonna be problems.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. But I mean, I feel like that it's not on one player. Obviously, it never is. But I think the center position is very, very important. I don't feel bad about it though. Like I did kind of feel nervous about it, but I don't really feel bad about it now. I think that's a huge part of how this game's going to come out between obviously the quarterback, but that's simply everybody knows that. But the center, I think he's got a huge game coming up tomorrow. Very big
God,
game.
That's taking my point and just fine tuning it to like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like
That's
that,
the
I feel like O-line is
biggest
like
one.
basically sure. That's what I'm agreeing with you because I don't feel bad at all about our D line. I've never been worried about the D line, the secondary, all of that. I'm good, and I'm really not that worried about special teams like I really kind of was. But Kelly's doing a whole lot of different stuff. Like he's like I know Peyton's not even traveling. Like he's not even going. So it's very different the way he's doing stuff. Like the hotel is different. They're not apparently staying, I don't think, at the same place unless something changed. My understanding is he's doing a lot of things different. Like so Peyton is not dressing out for the
he
game.
isn't dressing out. Wow.
He isn't taking nearly as many players. I mean, so I don't know if like I don't know. Like I'm not saying it in a bad way. It's
Court with
just
the
that's
breaking
how
news, though. Court with the
he is.
breaking news. You just blew my mind. I haven't heard that from anybody yet. You're
And
breaking.
hey,
You're blowing my mind right here.
if they don't travel, I mean, it is just a hour
So
15-minute
Bramblett,
drive.
you're
So
up, buddy. Bramblett, don't let me down.
I mean, it's
Bramblett,
not
he's going to
exactly.
be good. He's going to be a
I
Ray
mean, I
guy.
know that's Kelly's guy, but
But
This is a dude
anybody not
who
on
booted the
LSU
ball
team,
in fall camp.
anybody on the LSU team that's not being like traveling with the team, it's not like the hardest thing in the world to get from Baton Rouge to New Orleans either.
no, I know it's just interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is very.
I don't really know I don't think it was like a negative thing. I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I guess maybe I shouldn't have even said it out loud, but
Oh
I mean,
no, you should.
I just
That's
haven't mentioned it. I've been knowing about it for a few days, but I mean, it's what
that's
it
some
is,
good
I guess.
information.
Well, that speaks to he's thinking, okay, that's excessive, I guess, to take certain players. That's kind of strange to me because I just feel like you just take everybody just in case, like why not?
Yeah, because we're so freaking injury prone.
Yeah, I mean, just
I'm like, is he
hey,
gonna like ride up here? Like somebody get him on the phone and get his ass in a car from Baton Rouge?
Yeah.
what if we absolutely destroy Florida State? You want some of those guys to get reps. You want those guys to
I
be in
know,
there and
but
get
I mean,
experience.
I guess I don't know if it's just a special teams thing. I don't know who all. I didn't even question it because I was like, what? Shocked kind of. I
Well,
didn't know really what to make of it. It was a kind of like a lot of information, but I just was not sure how to pick that apart. I just was like, "What, really?" Okay. I mean, it's just he's doing things different, and I think we all know he's done things different from the start. We're not gonna all understand or necessarily agree with all of the things he's doing either.
Absolutely. That's the thing I found myself with is like I'm like, whoa, Kelly, this dude was my guy. Why is he gone? Why are you alienating him to the point of leaving? What the hell's going on here? And I found myself getting over every single one of those feelings, even though I'm still like, I wish that guy was still at LSU. I wish that guy was still at LSU. Wish that guy at the same time, I'm looking at who has taken their place, and I'm such a fan of the guys on this team. I am such a
Yeah.
fan of every player on this team. There's so many stars, potential stars here, and so many bona fide stars here. Who do you like, Court? You can lead us off there. Who do you think are going to be like a few difference makers on defense? Give us two difference makers on defense. Give us two difference makers on offense and give us two on special teams that you think are going to really just take it over. And AD two from you as well on defense, two on offense, two on special teams as well.
So on defense, Garner and Jalen Davis Robinson, I think are going to be kind of standout guys. I mean, I can say the people that everybody knows. Obviously, I can say those names, but I do feel like those two guys are going to stand out. Offensively, Noah Kane, Will Campbell. And on special teams, I'm hoping the best from Bramblett. Ramos, I'm expecting a lot from him just because, but I like Mata. So I don't know. I like them all. You know me, I'm a special teams person though. But
Absolutely.
I'll like talking about special teams like punt return. I'm anxious to see Abieta when he's able because I've heard such stuff about him and special teams. Like I don't know. I know Malik Neighbors is the guy, but I mean, I really want to see Landon Abieta out there and just see. But I'm all for Malik Neighbors, taking it to the house.
Malik is going to be a good returner, but I've been hearing a lot about Javen Nicholas being, really the second returner. This dude is just a freak. But sorry, AD.
Don't forget
Offensively,
my guy Jack Best really quick, but he's gonna
yeah,
be special. So
I think offensively, I think it's going to be Neighbors because he he's the other answer when they're focusing on Boutte. He's going to be the first option after that. So I think him, and I think for me, I'm kind of waffling between Will Campbell and John Emery when he comes back to play because Will Campbell is starting left tackle. That's a big position, probably the second most important position on the offense. And John Emery because I want to see him absolutely lose it on everybody we play this season. I want to see him just go absolutely crazy all year. Defensively, I would say for me, it's going to be BJ Ojolari is one because I've been expecting him to be an All American this year. I really think he has the potential with what Matt House does defensively. I think he has the potential to be an All American this season. And the other guy would be probably Greg Penn because they've raved about him all season, and that dude looked like he is just gonna be a straight up destroyer for us. So I can't wait. And on special teams, it's gonna be the whoever the starting place kicker is out of Ramos and Mata, and again Neighbors as a returner. Punt returner, he's quick. He has good speed. He's elusive, so that's what you kind of want in your punt return anyway. So I'm interested to see how he does and if they give Abieta or Nicholas a chance because they've always said something about one of those two. As
mhm.
it's always been Neighbors, Sage Ryan, Abieta, and Nicholas as returners. So I would love to see Nicholas and Abieta get a chance. So we're gonna see about those, but I really think Neighbors is going to be special as a punt returner too.
Yeah.
Malik, he has a chance to really take over this season. Malik Neighbors, he has a chance. I mean, I know Jack Besh is someone who I think is going to also really take over as well. But when you're talking about someone that no one was raving about and someone who was actually injured for most of this season last year, only 7 appearances as a freshman, Malik Neighbors, over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, was an all SEC freshman pick. Just some of the catches he made were ridiculous. The Kentucky catch, the catch against Ole Miss at the back of the end zone from Garrett Nussmeier, ridiculous touchdown catches, pulling off some high wire stuff. Jack Besh, really what comes to my mind, I expected him to make those plays. What comes to my mind in his freshman year is all the missed opportunities from our offense to get him the football. So when we see someone like Kayshon Boutte out there, who I feel, even while breaking SEC records, all-time SEC records, still hasn't been used to his fullest potential. And I see another guy, Jack Besh, who even while leading LSU in receptions as a freshman and 3rd in yards, still hasn't been used to his ultimate potential either. And then you see a guy, Malik Neighbors, who has been coming off injuries for most of the time that he's been here and is still an all-SEC freshman pick. I think you have a chance for an absolutely dynamic trio right there. But then you got Jeray Jenkins, who has been toasting Florida the last few years. 4 touchdowns and 2 appearances against the Gators. And then also had an iconic game-winning touchdown against Texas A&M in Coach O's last game. I mean, that moment was nuts. That moment was crazy. And I just feel like Jeray Jenkins could also have a big season. This is a loaded receiving core that I think it defines this team.
Good, yeah, because you didn't mention Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey. I don't think Chris Hilton.
I
mean, there's just so many. There's so many guys, but and like I'm kind of interested to see Cole Taylor because I've had so high expectations from him, and I've heard good things about him finally from camp. So I'm anxious to see how he plays. Then Jack Mashburn is right there. So I like Cole Taylor. I always was a fan. He's such a big guy. Like, I'm excited to see him do some stuff as a tight end.
You just made a fantastic point, Court, because here's the thing. He has been catching touchdowns left and right in fall camp from Jaden Daniels or Nussmeier. He's been utilized a lot in the red zone offense. And he's not only a big target, he's actually been doing some crazy stuff after the catch. So bringing up Cole Taylor while, of course, I'm bringing up all the receivers, it speaks to LSU's depth there.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun game. I'm excited.
It's going to be crazy. Everybody, I got to have your predictions on our way out here. I got to have your predictions.
We need to get Cole's prediction too, because he's been pretty much all commenting in the chat. We need to see what he thinks.
Yes, Cole, we need your prediction. We need and your game MVP. Who you think is going to be a game MVP for your defense, your offense. And we got to have your pick, my man. Cole.
I mean, since I'll go. I think the offensive MVP is going to be Jaden. I think he's going to come out there and he's really going to show why he came to LSU and why LSU chose him and what he's been working on, how he's been improving. I just think he's going to be that, and I'm going to go with. I think defensive MVP is not going to be so much one guy. It's going to be a position group, and I think it's going to be the interior defensive tackles. I think it's going to be the defensive tackles because
I love it.
I think they are going to cause so many problems that it's going to wreck whatever Florida State tries to do offensively. And so I think it's going to be Mason and Tank and Jaqueline and Makai Wingo. I think it's going to be those guys as a group. So I think Jaden offensively, the defensive tackles on, Jaden offensively, defensive tackles on the defense.
And your prediction, my man.
Oh, prediction of the score. I'm going to go with 35-17. That's my score.
I don't know.
35-17.
So AD's got 35-17. He's got Jaden Daniels as his offensive MVP going off at in his LSU debut, and then the defensive MVP. He's got the defensive tackles: Mason, Makai, Jacobian Guillory, Jaqueline Roy, absolutely eating human face along the interior, and I cannot wait for that to happen. If that happens, I mean, I want to see these defensive tackles just play to their ultimate ability, bro.
Yeah, it's just going to be. I can't wait. We've been waiting for this. I think we've been waiting for this since, as a whole. I think we've been waiting for this really since O resigned. We've been
Yeah.
waiting for this new
Week
beginning.
5. Yeah, we've been waiting for
We've been
this week.
waiting for this moment of getting to the absolute end of everything that happened before this point. Doesn't matter anymore. We could talk about it. We talk about it enough. That's null and void now. It's over with. Now it's about how we start off in this new, and I think we're gonna do really really good tomorrow. I really have a lot of high hopes, and I believe they're gonna come through because I believe that this team is ready to do some things and really make this season special, and really shut a lot of people up because a lot of folks just don't realize that LSU, when it's right, is the scariest team in college football, and is and the scariest program in college football, and it's not even close. Bear Bryant has said it. Bobby Bowden has said it. Nick Saban knows it. If LSU is right from a structural administrative standpoint, everything else is going to be a problem for a lot of people because we have the talent, we have the support, we have the facilities. The fan base is as rabid as any fan base there is in the country. I think Coach if Coach BK is right, it's gonna be a lovely couple years.
I
Hell
agree.
yeah. Court, your score,
Um,
your
yeah.
MVPs.
Okay, so my score is pretty close. I mean, I've kind of said this whole time that I thought it would be a really, really close game. But if I'm predicting, I'm gonna say 31-17. Like that's, I really think that we can beat them. I mean, it may be close, but I'm gonna say 31-17. Offensive player, I gotta go with Noah Kane. That's who I feel like is really gonna do something. I mean, I feel like there's probably gonna be some really amazing plays, but defensively, I think I'm gonna say either Jay Ward or Makai Garner. That's who I'm gonna say on defense. And I don't know. I want to go Greg Brooks. I want to go Bernard Converse. It's like I just have so many people I want to say on defense. But the D line is just. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Ford's pick 31-17. Her offensive MVP, Noah Kern. Defensive MVP, Jay freaking Ward. And Makai or possibly Makai Garner, or possibly Derek Bernard, or potentially this face-eating defensive line, which, you know what? I mean, that's basically my mindset. 38-17. We're all kind of in that same area.
Yeah.
Offensive MVP. I mean, I'm gonna go with Kayshon Boutte having a big day.
Oh, for sure.
I
Yeah.
think there's also a possibility that he could be kind of like eased into the game if we have success. So maybe he might not have some big numbers, but and Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors go off. I think Malik Neighbors, no matter what, is going to be guaranteed for a 100-yard day. Hopefully they use Jack Besh a lot. Hopefully he gets the ball a bunch. He's coming off the shin splints, so maybe they ease him in. But I think maybe Kayshon Boutte has just an electric outrageous, like kind of middle finger type days.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I
he's
hope Jaden Daniels does too, man. I really do. I really hope he does.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I really want him to. I just wish he would go out there and throw for some like Joe Burrow number, because there's so many doubters. Like, I just seriously wish we just tell everybody like to shut the F up about our quarterbacks. Just shut up.
350 and 5
Like,
touchdowns.
had a bad year last year, but just like he's not there now. He's here now, and
If someone's talking about Walker Howard or Garrett Nussmeier or Jaden Daniels, I'll say, shut the fuck up, brother. You shut the fuck up.
I actually told Texas to do that because, I mean, Nussmeier was number 9 in like the state of Texas, and they were like talking shit about Nussmeier, and I'm like, but like all of your guys' schools wanted him. Like, y'all recruited him. He was like a 4-star quarterback in the state of Texas. Like, I don't get, like, what are you talking about? You look like an idiot.
He should have been a 5-star. I mean,
it's just stupid to even act like you guys didn't want him at Texas or at A&M. That's dumb. That's dumb.
When he broke his hand in the second round again for Marcus High in the playoffs, their season was over and they knew it. It was sad, but with him, they could have won it all for Texas State. They could have won the Texas State championship as a senior. So
yeah, Cole just wrote down. Yeah, BK said he's only taken 70 on the travel squad. So yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. I mean, 70 is fine with me. I mean, it's not like, ooh, I'm not really feeling like we're going to run out of players with 70. So that's kind of par for course what you see from a coach with these type of
I don't
games.
know who else isn't going. Like, I just know Peyton. That's the one person I know for a fact.
Cole Adams says AD's right. I agree with everything he said. Hell yes. I mean, AD is making some fantastic points. Nurse Court's bringing in
AD always has some great points.
Yes. I mean, there's the thing. That's the thing is really it's about setting a tone with this game tomorrow. And yes, there's going to be some moments that things might not look together. There's going to be some moments of some hesitation, maybe in the tackling. Maybe the tackling's bad to come out of the gates. I think once these coaches really have that opportunity, that first moment to look at their players, the deer in the headlights look, and kind of just shake them out of it and really get some effective responses, that's really going to show where LSU's going this season.
You got to get them first game jitters out.
Exactly.
I don't care how many times it still happens to guys like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, those first game jitters, that kind of stuff matters. So it's gonna be fun to see how everything folds out and how everything goes in this game, and hopefully it should be over by this time tomorrow, or close to being over by this time tomorrow. We're like 1-0 going in the Southern. So
this
Cole
time
knows what's up. Cole's like mimicking. He's like repeating exactly what I was saying. Kelly's only taking one kicker for the same reason. Like DeSoto burned the boats when they landed in America. So it's just, so I know it's out.
Well, I mean, he should probably take more than one kicker. I mean, that's a guy kicking in the first game could easily tear his hamstring or something. You never know. I mean, I think he should bring 2, but whatever. It's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be a crazy game. I hope it's at least a good game for a bit, but I also it's going to be a good game for us if we just watch LSU absolutely kick some fucking ass out there tomorrow with Florida State, because I'm ready to run around this house going crazy, doing matrix jumps off the walls for this game. I am ready for it. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for watching this in the future. If you do so, AD, Nurse Court, this was awesome. This was great. Anytime you two want to join me, you are more than welcome. Anytime, hit me up. We'll do this again. I'll hit you up. We'll do this again. I'm going to be doing the post game live tomorrow after this game, LSU Florida State. It's going to be on a platform that has over 100,000 subscribers. We're going to be doing super chats, contributions, all sorts of stuff. And we are going to do our damnedest to get as many players or family members of players on this show as possible. It's going to be insane. Everybody, join us. Thank you so much, Nurse Court. You are amazing. Everybody, she works herself tirelessly at her job, saving us in the Louisiana community every day, every week. Nurse Court, thank you so much.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
kid. It was
Thanks for
fun.
having me. It was fun.
It was fun.
Anytime, you two. Anytime. You guys are awesome.
All right, man. Take it easy. Y'all have a good one.